You're this perp back with another video, and I just got done watching episode 5 of Swamp Thing season 1. Now, I don't want to hold y'all up too much, but follow me on Twitter at perpminded. Hit that sub button if you're new, and hit that like button if you enjoyed this episode or enjoyed this video. So with all that being said, let's get right into this with no hesitation. So it opens up with, we get a scene of Avery talking to Marie, about some random shit, and Marie starts seeing things, hearing things, and some weird shit just goes down in this episode, and we find out that, Avery's nothing but a scumbag, just using Marie for her money, and, while he's out there cheating, Maria is checking up on Susan to make sure she's alright because she heard noise coming from her bedroom, and she tells Maria that, there's a ghost in here and she's very angry and don't leave me in here. And what she do? Maria ends up leaving, comes back real quick, and poof, Susie's pretty much gone, but she ends up going to the bathroom and seeing her daughter in there. What she like pretty much her dead looking daughter. Really creepy ass shit, but it ends up actually being, Susie still, but she sees her daughter, and this is where shit gets pretty dark. But I want to kind of just really appreciate the detail in Swamp Thing in his design. I don't know how well you can make this out, but man, Swamp Thing looks tough in this. Like, I really gotta tip my hat off to the people that designed his look and went with like a practical look to him. It really looks nice on camera. But anyways, Swamp Thing runs into a random ass character that arrives on this boat, and he's just out of the middle of nowhere, all nonchalant, not really frightened or alarmed by Swamp Thing's appearance, but seems to know a lot more about the swamp than, Alec. Really interesting stuff, but I'll get back to him very shortly. But we get a quick scene of Daniel just, speeding down this road, and he's trying to actually leave the town, but, he's trying to check if he can, but something's weird. Something has his, like, somewhat soul, I guess. He sold his soul to something, and he can't leave this town. And that kind of teases the Blue Devil, I guess, which I'm calling it right now. We're probably not going to even see him until, like, the last couple episodes, because it just seems like they're just dragging out his reveal, and it sucks. So we get back to the sheriff and Avery. They just got done doing the nasty. They just talking about reminiscing, and I always wonder, it's just like, how did these two start linking up? They must be old high school sweethearts or something like that. It's something weird. I don't know. There has to be more to this, but it doesn't seem like the sheriff is all in. Like, she just started doing this stuff. I don't know. Maybe they'll explain it in future episodes. Back at the lab, Abby's lab, where she's trying to figure out what's going on with Alec, and Dr. Woodruff just pops in with his nosy ass and asks her a bunch of questions, and he's kind of pretty much starting to put everything together and says, is this have something to do with Alec, pretty much? And he already knows now, so he's just putting two and two together, and it's gonna be really interesting to see how that plays out. But then we get another scene with Avery popping up at Pops's place, just cooking himself up a meal and shit, and he's pretty much there to intimidate Pops and stuff, and telling them pretty much, Liz better pretty much just fall back before I do something. And as this back and forth is going on, Liz pops up and gets pretty much stands her ground against Avery and is not really intimidated by him. So while that's all going on, Dr. Woodruff is, snooping around in Alec's laboratory, and he pretty much, comes to the conclusion that all these things are Alec may have something to do with all of this. Back at the Swamp Thing and this mysterious guy are having this conversation just about the swamp and its past and how much it's seen, and pretty much shows Alec, this is how this stuff works. You pretty much to tap into this power and just see things. Like we get to see some new things from Alec and Swamp Thing, which is really cool, really dope shit. That like he can kind of see visions by just touching the trees and stuff. It's really cool shit, man. I'm really liking where this is going so far. So back to Maria's house, where Abby shows up, and Abby starts wondering because she gets a call from Susie and just wants to pop up to say just check up on her. But Abby also realizes how weird Maria's acting, and I like how they're utilizing flashbacks throughout this whole entire episode, and they kind of this is the episode where they show you what happened to Shauna, Abby's friend, and she goes up to the room to check on her, and she's completely a different person at this point. She starts talking different, starts talking to Abby as if she knows her, and come to find out this is pretty much Shauna using Susie's body and whatnot. And Abby's not believing it, so Shauna pretty much shows herself, and this shit kind of freaked the fuck out of me, and I really like the way this looks. Then Xanadel, I forget how to pronounce her name, pops up kind of randomly. I don't know really the significance of her popping up in this episode. It really kind of seemed unnecessary, but here comes an interesting scene where we get the sheriff pulling up to this guy. I'm drawing a blank on his name also, but he pretty much tells her, like, I know what's going on. I know about the Alec and the explosion, and threatens her son, and kind of doesn't go his way. But back at the swamp, we see Maria and Susie sitting there, and she's kind of in this trance-like state. And then, Susie kind of snaps out of it and drags Abby down to the swamp. And, this is where Abby kind of has to face her fears and face her past. Maria tries to pretty much kill her because she's not in control of her own mind, if that makes any sense. And good thing Swamp Thing comes in clutch and saves saves Maria from drowning, and saves Abby too, but also shows her a vision or just a flashback of her past, and we actually get to see what happened between her and Shauna, which was kind of just dumb kid shit. They thought that was all fun and games until they went down and fucked with a swamp, and the swamp ended up taking Shauna, and it was Abby's fault because she pushed her. But that was an interesting flashback, interesting scene. Kind of blew her mind and blew my mind too. And of course, Swamp Thing had to dip. Matt got there in time, to make sure everybody's okay. Really interesting stuff, man. Interesting episode. So Liz is walking towards her car and almost gets ambushed, but Danny saves the day. Daniel comes in and tries to save him, gets clonked on the head. She thinks he's dead, but come to find out he's cool. He just, had to go drink it off. So they're sitting there at the bar just talking about small town living, and really interesting stuff here too. to see where he is mentally. And it sucks that we don't get to really see this much of this character. I would like to see that fleshed out more. But it pretty much ends off with Dr. Woodruff just pretty much going to Avery at the hospital, telling him like this Alec dude is connected to something in the swamp, and you know, we're just gonna have to wait and see till next episode. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. I thought it was pretty good. A lot of cool shit in here. Like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at PerpMinded. And I'll check y'all out in the next episode review, episode 6. Peace.
When I was young, I thought that success was all I needed. That's what was gonna bring the happiness. Buying my mom a house, being the fame, the accolades, having people say, yo, you are the best in the game. I thought those would be the things that would bring happiness. And then when those things came, the happiness wasn't there. And I realized why that was. There was such an attempt to achieve these things and to keep going that you lose sight of the people and the blessings that you have around.